You were once the ancient formation master who suppressed the heavens. Now you have to kneel and lick your fiancé's shoes. Just when everyone thought you would grovel and beg, you slapped her new lover in public. They called you a crazy good for nothing. But they didn't know that as you knelt, you had already set up a deadly formation beneath your feet. It's just that although you are a waste in chi refining, an ultimate formation master resides in your soul. And just now, a system told you to repay this humiliation of broken engagement 100-fold. But you who have just been reborn have to kneel and lick your fiancé's shoes. Do you think you are worthy of marrying me, Lu Jinghong? The voice rained down from above, as cold as ice. The moment you opened your eyes, you saw Lu Jinghong standing before you, aloof and condescending. She held the token of your engagement in her hand, as if holding something dirty. She threw the bronze token to the ground, then lifted her foot and stepped on it, until the token engraved with Zhang Lia's engagement was in front of everyone, crushed into 3 pieces by her. Laughter erupted all around. A useless person at the second level of chi refining. How could he be worthy of marrying senior sister Lu? Hasn't the Zhang family already fallen? After his father left, even their spiritual fields were confiscated. Now he's just a sweeping servant, not even worthy of carrying senior sister Lia's shoes. You knelt on the ground, not because you were stunned by the humiliation, but because you had just crawled back from the brink of despair. You are still the ancient formation master, standing above the 9 heavens, suppressing the formations of all realms. 7 personal disciples surrounded you, calling you master one after another, as respectful as the most loyal followers. They joined forces to break the grand void formation you personally set up. Greedy Wolf's sword heavily wounded your chest. Po Jun forcibly scattered your dantian. Ju Men destroyed your physical body. Qi Sha severely injured your soul. You gave them everything. You pulled each of them out of despair, teaching them until they reached the pinnacle. But this is how they repaid you. You should leave now. Zhang Baikan. Lu Jinghong looked down at you, her eyes full of disgust. I'll say it one last time. From today onwards, we are strangers. I've broken off the engagement. If you know what's good for you, get out of the heavenly mist sect yourself. You slowly raised your head, seeing her delicate yet sharp face, and also the young man in brocade behind her. Zhao Tianming, son of the heavenly mist sect master. Foundation Establishment Cultivation. He stood behind with his arms crossed, a playful smile on his lips, as if watching a play whose ending he already knew. Just like Greedy Wolf when he heavily wounded you, he was condescending, looking at the shattered token on the ground. In your previous life, you preached benevolence and righteousness your whole life, only to be betrayed by 7 disciples in the end. In this life, a cold mechanical voice suddenly exploded in your mind. Detected host suffering extreme humiliation. Identity verification. Eternal Town Lord. Zhongbei Zhang Baikan passed. Activate and issue mission. Humiliation of broken engagement. 100-fold repayment mission. Target at the engagement annulment banquet. Dismantle Lu Jinghong's cultivation. Reward. Ancient Lost Formation Diagram. Immortal Trapping Formation. Remnant Heaven Shallow warns host of current level 55. Every 10 levels you ascend, a heavenly punishment will be triggered. If you win, you will break through. If you lose, you will dissipate on the spot. You have lived for tens of thousands of years, seen countless secret arts, ancient artifacts, forbidden techniques, but never seen this kind of thing. Yet the information stream pouring into your mind was terrifyingly real, especially those 3 words. Immortal Trapping Formation. Your pupils contracted slightly. That was an ancient forbidden formation that even the you of your past life had never truly mastered. As long as Lu Jinghong's cultivation is dismantled, you can obtain it. Interesting. Zhang Baikan. Lu Jinghong saw that you were silent. Her expression became even uglier. Are you going to get out or not? Do you want me to have the enforcement hall drag you away? Zhao Tianming stepped forward, casually put his arm around Lu Jinghong's waist, looked down at you and smiled. Why waste words on this kind of person? He's just a handyman at the second level of chi refining. What backbone could he have? He's probably scared silly. Another burst of laughter from the surroundings. You slowly stood up. You patted the dust off your knees. Everyone was waiting for you to bow your head, waiting for you to crawl out of here like a whipped dog. But you just raised your head. Your gaze swept past Lu Jinghong's face, then fell on Zhao Tianming. That look was very calm. So calm it didn't seem like a useless person. More like someone standing on a high place, looking at 2 ants. Lu Jinghong's heart skipped a beat for no reason. You spoke. Your voice was not loud, but everyone in the square could hear it clearly. At the engagement annulment banquet 3 days later, I will give you a great gift. You turned and left. Zhao Tianming frowned. What madness is this guy on? Lu Jinghong looked at your retreating figure. Her fingertips unconsciously tightened her sleeves. For some reason, it made her heart feel a little cold. A useless person at the second level of chi refining. Can't make any waves. Zhao Tianming snorted coldly. I'd like to see what great gift he can give. You returned to the outer sect handyman's room. Sat down cross-legged. Sent your divine sense inward. A semi-transparent panel immediately appeared in your mind. Second level of chi refining, spiritual root damaged. Meridians blocked. Formation master's past life memories sealed. Current available formation knowledge approximately 1%. Humiliation of broken engagement. Remaining time for 100-fold repayment. Only 1% of your past life's formation path has been unsealed. But that's enough. You raise your hand. Perceive the meridians within your body. Spiritual energy is turbid, severely blocked, but what truly makes you squint is not weakness. It's the way the meridians in this body are blocked. Too deliberate, not natural, more like someone deliberately sealed the spiritual roots. Someone tampered with it. You open your eyes. Your gaze turns cold, enough for you to settle the scores. Settle a portion first. Your right index finger lightly draws a line. An almost invisible spiritual pattern emerges from your fingertip and instantly vanishes. The feeling remains. Array formations, this kind of thing never depends on how much spiritual energy you have, but on whether you stand high enough and see deep enough. In your previous life you sat at the pinnacle of array formations. Now even with only 1% left, it's enough to suppress these people. Lu Jinghong, since you want to hold a marriage annulment banquet, then you will give them a hell they will never forget in this lifetime. Footsteps are heard from outside the door. A short fat steward pushes the door open, glares at you impatiently. Tomorrow it's your turn to clean the beast pens. The filth of third-tier demonic beasts. Not a single bit can be missed. Miss even a little, your spirit stones will be deducted for a month. He leaves after saying that, too lazy to even glance at you again as if you're bad luck. You watch his retreating back. Your expression is indifferent. You're too lazy to bother with people like this. But if someone is truly blind and insists on blocking your path, then they'll be dealt with along the way. You close your eyes again and begin to clear your meridians bit by bit. 3 days later, the marriage annulment banquet. You will let everyone know. Some people kneel because they are being suppressed, but some people kneel down just to strike faster. You didn't go to clean the beast pens. You meditated in the handyman's room for a whole day. The array formation experience from your past life, combined with the meager spiritual energy in this broken body, you forged it into a blade bit by bit. 3 blocked meridians were forcefully opened by you. The spiritual energy within your body surged. Chi refining layer 2 directly surged to Chi refining layer 4. The system panel popped up. Level up, LV.3. Array formation knowledge unlocked to 3%. Currently available formations. Spirit locking array fragment half spirit gathering small array spiritual pattern perception. You set your sights on the spirit locking array. This is a true forbidden array. The complete version is enough to lock the spiritual energy flow of a star domain. Now you only have half of the fragmented diagram. Its power is less than 1/10,000th. But to deal with Zhao Tianming, a mere foundation establishment mid-stage cultivator, locking him for 30 breaths, enough to leave him no power to fight back. The morning of the 3rd day. There are still 6 hours until the engagement annulment banquet. You just pushed open the door, and a group of people blocked the entrance. The one in the lead was precisely Zhao Tianming. He was dressed even more ostentatiously today than yesterday. A brocade robe with gold trim, a spiritual sword hanging from his waist. Behind him followed 7 or 8 inner disciples, the lowest cultivation level being Chi refining layer 7, and among them were 2 foundation establishment cultivators. They were here to block the door, not to take a stroll. Zhao Tianming smiled at you. Heard you were quite tough yesterday, saying you'd give Jinghong a big gift. He took a step forward, deliberately lowering his voice. I am very curious. A mere handyman who cleans beast pens with beast dung and filth? The people behind him immediately burst into laughter. Zhang Baikan, did you gather a basketful overnight? Or should you just splash it at the engagement annulment banquet? It would surely be surprising enough. You looked at them expressionlessly. The smile in Zhao Tianming's eyes slowly faded. He closed the distance to just an arm's length away. He was slightly taller than you. At this moment he deliberately lowered his head slightly, using a condescending angle to pressure you. I am here today to give you an opportunity. He lifted his foot, his boot still stained with mud. Lick my shoes clean. At the engagement annulment banquet tonight, I'll let you leave Tianlin sect with some dignity. His voice turned completely cold. I will let you know what the consequences are of offending the sect master's son. People around had already stopped to watch the show. Outer disciples stood in the distance, their faces full of excitement. Zhang Baikan is truly unlucky this time. He wasn't exactly never stepped on before anyway. A useless person at Chi refining layer 2. What else can he do? You glanced at that boot, then looked up at Zhao Tianming. It is indeed very dirty. Zhao Tianming raised an eyebrow, thinking you had backed down. Your right hand hung by your side. Your index finger moved slightly. A spiritual pattern so fine it was invisible to the naked eye, silently drilled into the stone bricks beneath your feet from your fingertips. The last person who asked me to lick their shoes has already fallen. Zhao Tianming's expression darkened. The corners of his mouth curved slightly. You are not worthy. The air was silent for 2 seconds. Then Zhao Tianming laughed. He laughed as if he had heard the biggest joke in the world. Interesting. He clapped his hands. Take him down. The 2 foundation establishment disciples behind him immediately stepped forward, grabbing your shoulders from left and right. Spiritual energy pressed down with a roar. Foundation establishment suppressing Chi refining is an overwhelming force. Your knees bent sharply, touching the ground on one knee. The surrounding laughter exploded instantly. Weren't you quite arrogant just now? Keep being stubborn. Zhao Tianming squatted in front of you, his face full of schadenfreude. He said, reaching out to pinch your chin and press it down. But at this very moment, he suddenly saw your eyes. Those were not the eyes of a useless person. Like a blade overlooking from a height of 10,000 feet. He was only stunned for a breath. But in this breath, you didn't struggle, letting them hold you down. You even smiled a little. Your right index finger was hidden by your side, perfectly blocked by the bodies of 2 Foundation Establishment disciples. You continued to sketch spirit patterns on the ground. Spirit locking array fragment, half completed. 78%, 89%, 95%. The spirit pattern spread along the cracks of the stone bricks, like an invisible net, slowly closing beneath your feet. The system also popped out at this time. Detected host being forced to kneel. Humiliation index increased. Publicly slapped Zhao Tianming away. Reward, experience points x 500. Spirit locking array completion plus 10%. You sneered inwardly. Zhao Tianming was still pinching your chin, pressing down hard, his eyes full of mockery. A useless person, daring to act in front of me? You suddenly looked up, your gaze piercing like a knife. Zhao Tianming's breathing hitched. You lowered your voice, so only he could hear. See you at the engagement annulment banquet. You stopped struggling. Zhao Tianming subconsciously loosened his grip, taking half a step back. That inexplicable unease in his heart suddenly surfaced, but he quickly suppressed it again. A mere handyman at the 4th level of chi refining. How much trouble could he cause? He flicked his sleeve. A useless person. Before the 2 Foundation Establishment disciples let go, they deliberately pushed you. You fell to the ground. They laughed and walked away. After everyone left, you slowly pushed yourself up, brushing the dust off your clothes. Then you looked down. At your feet, the array patterns had already completely seeped into the stone bricks, leaving no trace. Spirit locking array fragment, half completed. Array eye locked target, Zhao Tianming. Conceal the target's meridians and spiritual energy circulation for 30 breaths. You stood at the entrance of the handyman's quarters, looking in the direction Zhao Tianming had left, your expression indifferent. Everyone was waiting to see you make a fool of yourself. But they didn't know who would truly be disgraced. Lu Jinghong sat in her room meditating, but she couldn't calm down at all. A fragment of the engagement token lay on the corner of the table. She originally wanted to throw it away, but for some reason she didn't know why. It was by a strange coincidence that I stayed at the engagement annulment banquet 3 days later. I will give you a great gift. It echoed in her ear. She had seen too many people lose their composure and go mad after their engagement was broken. Some cried, some made a scene, some begged on their knees. You are too calm, so calm that you don't seem like a useless person whose engagement and dignity have been crushed. Forcing herself to suppress that hint of annoyance. A mere handyman at the 2nd level of chi refining. What waves could he stir up? She whispered to herself. She casually tossed the token fragment into a corner. The moment the fragment hit the ground, in the cracks of the floor tiles, a thread-like spiritual pattern almost invisible flickered slightly. That is one of the fuses you carved into the sky. The most terrifying thing about formations is never what you can see, but by the time you realize it, it's already too late. The engagement annulment banquet has arrived. The outer sect martial arts field, 10 times more lively than usual today. An outer sect disciple is having his engagement annulled. It's not worth such a grand occasion. But Zhao Tianming insisted on making it a public humiliation. A table was set up in the center of the field. The engagement annulment document was placed on the table. A pot of spirit wine. The surroundings were crowded with people. Almost all the outer sect disciples were present. Many from the inner sect came. Even a few elders stood watching the spectacle from afar with their disciples. Zhao Tianming sat in the main seat. Lu Jinghong sat beside him. His expression was cold. The crowd was packed tightly. Someone suddenly shouted. The crowd automatically parted to make way. You walked in alone, still wearing that faded gray handyman robe. There was no sign of you coming to turn the tables. In fact, you looked like a wolf cub that hadn't recovered from being suppressed and knelt yesterday. The whole audience laughed, like a fallen person. Where is the great gift you promised? Coming empty-handed to court death? He should kneel beautifully later. Zhao Tianming slowly stood up, holding his wine cup. Zhang Baikan, the document is on the table. You walked to the table, glanced at the document, then looked at Lu Jinghong. Your gaze fell on Zhao Tianming's face. Today I will give you a great gift. Zhao Tianming smiled. Alright, I'll see what you can do. You took a step forward. Just this one step. The moment your foot landed, spiritual energy flowed along the fuse formation laid yesterday, and poured into the ground with a roar. Spirit locking formation. Silently. No light, no movement that a formation should have. But Zhao Tianming's expression changed instantly. The spiritual energy in his body felt as if its neck had been suddenly choked. His meridians sank. His dantian stagnated. The spiritual energy was still there, but not a single bit could be summoned. His pupils contracted sharply. He subconsciously activated his spiritual power. Locked on. Had already reached him. Slapped him hard on the left cheek. This slap, you used all the spiritual power of the 4th level of chi refining. And threw it all in. Zhao Tianming was sent flying sideways. The wine table overturned. Spiritual wine spilled all over the floor. The marriage annulment document flew around in midair. He was sent flying 7 or 8 zhang. Finally he heavily crashed into the stone pillar at the edge of the training ground. Liquid overflowed from the corner of his mouth. Half of his face swelled up on the spot. The entire ba was dead silent. More than 300 people, Not a sound was made. Lu Jinghong suddenly stood up. The chair was knocked over by her. She widened her eyes. A mere servant of the Qi refining stage. Slapped away the son of the sect leader in the middle stage of foundation establishment. This is impossible. Something is wrong with Zhao Tianming. Zhao Tianming covered his face. His face was a mixture of shock and anger. He desperately tried to mobilize his spiritual power, but his meridians felt like they were filled with iron. There was no reaction at all. You walked up to him. Looked down at him. He was looking down at you. It's been switched. You crouched down. Your voice was very low, so only he could hear. The ground beneath your feet, since yesterday, has been my formation. Every second you stand on it is within my control. Zhao Tianming's face instantly turned pale. He looked down at the ground. There were no formation patterns. He shouted in disbelief. You a useless person in Qi refining. How could you understand formations? Another slap, this time on the right cheek. Symmetrical. 2 teeth flew out directly. The crowd finally exploded. He actually dared to hit Zhao Tianming. Zhao Tianming's spiritual power seems to be really gone. That's a formation. When did he set up the formation? Lu Jinghong finally came back to her senses. Her face was ashen. Hall of Law Enforcement. Take Zhang Baikan down. You stood up, tilted your head to look at her, with a faint smile on your lips. Today I'll give you a big gift. Are you really going to call people over before receiving the gift? Lu Jinghong gritted her teeth. What can you give me? Pointing at Zhao Tianming on the ground. The gift I give you is to let you see with your own eyes how easily defeated the man you chose is. You flicked your finger. The formation patterns lurking underground finally lit up at this moment. Pale golden spiritual patterns emerged from the cracks in the stone bricks. Like snakes they coiled around Zhao Tianming's limbs. He was locked in place by him. This is not a sneak attack. This is in front of everyone. To step on him honorably. Zhao Tianming finally panicked. Who are you? You look down on him. Your eyes are extremely cold. Remember one thing. The one who made me kneel and lick shoes. The last one has fallen. Is the second one. After speaking, you pressed your palm on his dantian. The spirit locking array opened the seal of his meridians. Your little spiritual energy rushed in through the gap. Straight to the dantian. Zhao Tianming's entire face lost its composure from the pain. The foundation establishment spirit core that had just taken shape in his dantian was forcibly dispersed by you. His cultivation instantly plummeted. Mid-foundation establishment. 9th level of Qi refining. It dropped all the way to the 3rd level of Qi refining. Before it barely stopped, Zhao Tianming curled up on the ground, covering his dantian tightly with both hands. Completely collapsed. Did not completely dissipate, but it was more uncomfortable than that. Within 3 years, he wouldn't be able to return to foundation establishment. The entire audience fell silent. A mere handyman disciple, in front of more than 300 people, dismantled the sect master's son's cultivation. The system panel popped up. Mission complete. Publicly slapped Zhao Tianming away. Experience points times 500. Spirit locking array completion plus 10%. Main quest the humiliation of broken engagement. 100-fold return progress. 40%. Remaining objectives. Dismantle Lu Jinghong's cultivation. Looked at Lu Jinghong. She subconsciously took a step back. She finally saw clearly. The way you looked at her was not a discarded fiancé looking at his former fiancé. It was a hunter looking at prey. You walked towards her step by step. Her face turned pale. Immediately activated her spiritual energy. On full alert. But as soon as her foot stepped on the stone brick, her expression changed. A familiar sense of stagnation crawled up from the soles of her feet. Her spiritual energy began to feel heavy. She suddenly looked down. The center of the entire martial arts arena. The ground lit up. Dense spiritual patterns emerged from the cracks between the stone bricks, forming a large net. Not just one spot. It was the entire ground. These array patterns were carved in by me yesterday when you forced me to kneel. Casually carved in. You stood in the center of the array, as if standing on your throne. You thought I was enduring. Actually I was setting up the array. The spiritual patterns surged. Lu Jinghong was directly locked in place, unable to take a single step back. At this moment, a furious roar exploded from afar. An incredibly powerful spiritual pressure crushed over from the inner sect direction. The sect master has made a move. Everyone looked up, but you didn't. You walked up to Lu Jinghong, leaned down, and whispered something in her ear. You think breaking off the engagement was your choice? From today onwards, every decision you make today will be the thing you regret most in your life. Your right hand has already pressed on her shoulder. There are still 2 breaths left. The sect master will arrive. The system also popped up a prompt at this time. Detected high-level cultivator approaching. Activate the remnant immortal trapping array in advance. The immortal trapping array can only be used once. Looked at the figure rapidly descending from high above. Impossible to confront head-on. Still not going to use it. You hesitated for only a moment. Do not activate. Use it at this time. Too wasteful. The immortal trapping array is your trump card for a comeback later. Cannot be wasted here. The next moment, Zhao Qingqian's spiritual pressure had already descended. Everyone in the entire martial arts arena almost simultaneously knelt down. You were also forced to one knee. Not bending at all. Zhao Qingqian landed in the center of the arena. First looked at Zhao Tianming. Then looked at Lu Jinghong. His gaze landed on you. The handyman disciple Zhang Baikan injured the sect master's son. Disrupted the sect's order. Your son told me to kneel and lick his shoes. You directly interrupted him. The arena fell silent, under the pressure of the nascent soul stage. A mere nobody at the 4th level of chi refining still dares to interrupt. Zhao Qingqin's brow furrowed instantly. He brought this humiliation upon himself. Look directly at Zhao Qingqin. You want to stand up for your son. But I am leaving the Heavenly Mist Sect Mountain Gate today. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire audience was stunned. A handyman at the chi refining stage, pointing at the nascent soul stage sect master, saying you can't stop me. The oppressive aura in Zhao Qingqin's eyes could no longer be contained. His spiritual pressure intensified by another layer. The surrounding stone bricks shattered one after another. He struck out with a palm. The air seemed to be torn apart. A palm strike from the nascent soul stage, let alone the 4th level of chi refining. Even an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator would be severely injured on the spot. Unable to move at all. But just before that palm strike landed, you lightly tapped the ground with the index finger of your right hand. A spiritual pattern lit up. Not the spirit locking array. It was a small device you casually buried yesterday. The spirit burst array, gathering the residual spiritual energy within a 10 jong radius, and detonating it instantly. The damage was not great, but enough to disrupt the lock. Gravel flies wildly. Zhao Qingqin's palm strike was forced to deviate by half an inch, blasted into the ground beside you, directly creating a deep pit. The aftershock still sent you flying. You flipped in midair, and landed. Liquid immediately overflowed from the corner of your mouth, but you stood your ground. Zhao Qingqin narrowed his eyes. A kid at the 4th level of chi refining managed to deflect his palm strike, not by cultivation, but by formations. He didn't attack again, but spoke coldly. Where is the law enforcement hall? 3 figures swept over from the inner sect direction, landing behind him. 3 elders at the late golden core stage. At the same time, the sect protection formation roared to life. A semi-transparent light screen rose from all around Tianlin sect, enveloping the entire mountain gate. You were waiting for this. The strongest aspect of a formation master isn't head-on confrontation. It's making those stronger than you understand less, and dare not act rashly. Lu Jinghong had already broken free from the effect of the spirit-locking formation. But her face was even paler than before. Not out of fear, but because of the look in your eyes just now. A useless person she had once casually stepped on was actually pitying her. Stop him, she shouted at the law enforcement hall. Then herself also raised her spiritual power, condensing an ice-blue spiritual sword in her palm. Zhang Baiken, don't think you can use some unorthodox formation techniques. You didn't look back, only threw out 3 words. Lu Jinghong subconsciously lowered her head. On the stone bricks beneath her feet, a spiritual pattern as fine as a hair was slowly dissipating. That was the remnant of the spirit-locking formation. But what truly chilled her heart was the direction of that spiritual pattern. It was too stable, too precise. Every stroke avoided the underground spiritual my nodes. Without any waste, she had studied formations for 3 years. But she knew very well, this level of control, her master couldn't achieve. The head of the formation hall couldn't achieve it either. She suddenly realized, when you suppressed Zhao Tianming just now, you hadn't even used your full strength. Zhao Qingqin coldly ordered. The 3 golden core elders immediately turned into streams of light, surrounding you. You turned, and walked towards the mountain gate, as if strolling leisurely, as if walking in your own backyard. The area behind you instantly erupted in chaos. He's heading for the mountain gate. The sect protection formation is already open. Can he get out? What is he doing? You ignored these voices, just raised your hand, and casually drew a stroke in the air. The first formation node ahead roared to life. The formation originally used to speed up the teleportation of disciples, now directly transformed into countless wind blades, slashing towards you. You raised your hand and pointed. All the wind blades stopped abruptly 3 inches in front of you. They all turned around and swept back, heading straight for the 3 golden core elders who were pursuing you. The faces of the 3 elders changed drastically. They attacked hastily, shattering the wind blades that were sweeping back. You had already passed through the first formation domain, rock-crushing formation. The ground shook violently. Fist-sized rocks shot from both sides. You didn't even lift a hand, just slightly shifted your body, and passed through the gaps in the attack. You saw through the rhythm of the formation at a glance, where each attack originated, where it landed, what gaps were left in between. You knew it better than the person who set up the formation. In your past life you often said one thing: formations have no blind spots, but they have a breath. Understand its breath, and you can walk through a rain of blades. A chilling divine sense fluctuation rushed towards you, straight into your sea of consciousness. You snorted coldly. The residual will of the eternal formation venerable from your past life still lingered deep within your sea of consciousness. This attack doesn't even count as a tickle, but you still raised your hand and drew a circle in the air. The eye of the soul-locking formation shattered on the spot. The entire formation collapsed. Zhao Qingqin finally moved. He flew into the air, looking down at your path, his face growing increasingly grim, because he realized you weren't breaking through by force. You were dismantling the formations. Formation after formation of the sect protecting array looked like its skeleton had been dismantled in your eyes. A mere handyman at the 4th level of chi refining understood the sect protecting grand formation even better than the people in the formation hall. Zhao Qingqin's eyes were dark. He suddenly remembered an ancient legend. True formation prodigies could recognize formations at a glance and change the heavens with a single step. But such people should have long since disappeared. You walked up to the fourth formation. Suppression formation. One of the core formations of the sect protecting Grand Array. Below Golden Core. Logically speaking, you wouldn't even have the qualification to step into it. A light screen descended. The pressure was like a mountain. Your knees bent again, but this time, you didn't immediately resist with force. Because you saw something. Within the formation patterns at the very bottom of the suppression formation was a group of very hidden runes. They didn't belong to the Tianlin sect. They didn't belong to any normal formation system on the Kanglan continent. But you recognized them. You recognized them too well. That was the handwriting of your eldest disciple, Mu Wuchen, the edge node of the Heaven-Earth Severance Prison Array. Your pupils contracted slightly. So that's how it is. The Sky Mist sect's protective formation. It's not the protective formation they thought it was at all. Or rather, on the surface it is. The foundation has long been replaced by someone else. The entire Kanglan continent is indeed within a larger formation. This thought flashed for only an instant, because the immense pressure of the suppression array was already making your bones creak. 3 more breaths, and you would truly be crushed here. A brilliant spiritual pattern shot out from your fingertips, directly piercing the array's core. Directly piercing through. The suppression array split open in the middle. The light screen exploded and scattered. You stepped out from the rift, your robes already tattered and burned by spiritual energy. You didn't wipe the liquid from the corner of your mouth, but your steps didn't falter in the slightest. The more than 300 disciples looked at you, speechless. 4 protective formations, and you just walked through them, as if taking a stroll. Zhao Qingqin finally made up his mind. Closing the mountain gate, all elders returned to defend. Activating the main formation, he intended to turn the entire Sky Mist sect into a true prison, to completely lock you down. You stopped. You looked up at the mountain gate. Above the mountain gate stood a stone tablet 3 zhang high. Sky Mist sect in large characters. Ancient and heavy. That was the sect's suppressing stone tablet, and also the core hub of the sect's main protective formation. The system prompts sounded simultaneously. Destroy the Sky Mist sect's mountain gate stone tablet. Ancient Immortal trapping array. Complete diagram. The stone tablet is the core of the main formation. The guardian is the Sky Mist sect's vice sect master. Nascent soul early stage. You looked at the stone tablet. Your gaze unchanged. Continuing forward, behind you were roars, exclamations, and the oppressive aura of the entire sect. But you knew very well, from the moment you saw the runes at the bottom of the suppression array, this matter was no longer as simple as breaking off an engagement and slapping faces. This world is dirtier than you thought, and the first thing you need to do is to get out of this small cage. In front of the mountain gate, an old man stood with his hands behind his back, a gray-blue Taoist robe, hair white, thin face, looking like a teacher, but the stone bricks beneath his feet were cracking inch by inch. It was his spiritual pressure overflowing, crushing the ground. Sky Mist sect vice sect master, Qin Kang, nascent soul early stage. You stopped 20 zhang away, not because you didn't want to walk further, but because the 4 protective formations ahead, the 4 protective formations of the sect in front, the last bit of spiritual energy in your body has been almost completely drained. If you keep pushing forward, your body won't be able to hold on. Qin Kang glanced at you. His gaze was indifferent, as if looking at a bug that had stumbled in. It's indeed a bit interesting to be able to break through 4 layers of the sect protecting formation. Among Golden Core formation masters, you're considered outstanding, but you made a mistake. You looked at him. You should have come here. Qin Kang raised his hand, pointing at the stone tablet 3 zhang high behind him. Turn back now, and I won't touch you. You destroyed the sect protecting formation, which is a matter of the sect's reputation. But this stone tablet, his tone suddenly turned cold. No one will have an easy time. You didn't reply. You weren't looking at him, but at the ground around the stone tablet. Around the base of the stone tablet, there was a circle of almost invisible spiritual Wian ripples. That was the pulse of spiritual energy from the core of the grand formation. You also saw something else. On the back of the stone tablet, a line of small text was carved. It was a bit far, so the content couldn't be seen clearly, but the frequency of the spiritual Wian fluctuations emanating from that line of text was exactly the same as the set of runes you saw at the bottom of the suppression formation. The stone tablet has a problem. The system immediately chimed in. Destroying the mountain gate stone tablet has an additional condition. Read the inscription on the back of the stone tablet. Hint, the inscription is suspected to be related to the Weidi Tiantong Prison Heaven Grand Formation. Your eyes narrowed slightly. Then it's not just about smashing it. I need to see clearly first. Senior's good intentions. I appreciate them. You cupped your hands towards Qin Kang, your attitude appearing quite polite. However, I have a question. I'd like to ask. Qin Kang frowned. The sect protecting formation of the Tianlin sect. It's said to have been jointly set up by 3 generations of formation hall masters. Then the set of runes at the bottom of that grand formation. That doesn't belong to the Tianlin sect. Who carved it? Qin Kang's expression changed slightly. The change was very small. Just a twitch of his eyebrow. But you saw it clearly. He really knows. Nonsense. Qin Kang's voice deepened. I am not talking nonsense. I took a step back. I am just curious. A sect whose sect protecting formation has been tampered with at its core. What exactly are they protecting? You took another step back. Qin Kang's gaze completely changed. The indifferent condescension from before disappeared, replaced by cold vigilance. You know too much. As soon as he finished speaking, without any warning, the speed of a nascent soul stage cultivator had long surpassed the limit that a chi refining stage cultivator's eyes could capture. He flickered in place. 5 fingers formed into a claw, reached directly for your heavenly spirit. You didn't meet it head-on. The moment he made his move, you stomped your foot, and directly crushed a brick. It was the edge remnant of the Gale formation from before. When you broke the formation, you didn't destroy all the residual patterns, but left a piece behind. This stomp crushed it. The wind attribute residual spiritual energy instantly surged into your foot. You moved 3 jong sideways, using the formation's momentum. Qin Kang's claw missed. A hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. Using the formation to supplement your body. Too bad. He lifted his foot, and stomped heavily on the ground, with him as the center. The ground within a 5 jong radius instantly exploded. Sui Shi Fan Fei. All residual formation patterns, hidden spiritual patterns, were all crushed into powder under this stomp. I don't understand formations, but I know how to smash. He said it calmly. Indeed, he was ruthless. What formation masters fear most is when someone doesn't play by the rules and just rips up the floor. You landed after running. A mouthful of liquid overflowed from your lips again. Using the residual wind attribute energy to move sideways just now caused your internal spiritual energy to become chaotic again. Several new cracks appeared in your meridians, but the expression on your face didn't change, because Qin Kang's stomp happened to do something for you. Not just the ground, but also the remnants of the Gale formation, the rock crushing formation, and the soul locking formation. The residual spirits of the 3 formations, Wind, Earth, Soul, lost their restraints simultaneously, and became chaotic underground. To others, this would be a pile of Fei Diao de Zhen Za. This is a natural formation base. You lightly drew your right index finger in your sleeve. No one saw. A spiritual pattern silently sank into the shattered ground, and entered that chaotic spiritual energy, not to set up a new formation, but to guide the turbulent flow in the direction you wanted, gently pushing it. In your past life, you often taught your disciples a saying: the best formation is not one you carve yourself, but one that follows the momentum of heaven and earth. Qin Kang quickly sensed something was wrong. The spiritual energy fluctuations beneath his feet began to change frequency, not getting stronger, nor weaker, but being rearranged, like a heartbeat. The moment he looked down, the residual formation took shape, without any earth-shattering display, but the nascent soul in his dantian trembled violently. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth around him suddenly began to isolate him, cutting off external spiritual energy exchange, suppressing physical movements, interfering with divine sense flow. This formation is not strong. It won't trap the nascent soul for too long. You turned and ran. Not ran away, but used the last bit of spiritual energy to rush towards the stone tablet at full speed. In Qin Kang's eyes, this speed was as slow as an ant crawling, but he was stuck by the residual formation, only stuck for 4 breaths. The residual formation was quickly torn apart by him, but 4 breaths. You rushed to the stone tablet. Your eyes swept over the inscriptions on the back. There were only 7 words. Heavenly tongue has been severed. What does that mean? No time to think. Qin Kang had already caught up from behind. His palm wind blasted towards your back. The last trace of spiritual energy in your body was all poured into your right palm. You directly slapped the formation eye at the base of the stone tablet. You weren't trying to smash the stone tablet. You couldn't do that now. You were hitting the formation eye of the main formation. The underlying structure of that thing. You had already seen through it in the suppression formation. Mu Wuchen's parasitic runes and the main formation's formation eye were symbiotic. If one was disrupted, the other would have to follow suit. With this palm strike, you were imitating the spiritual energy frequency of that set of runes, forcing the formation eye to become unbalanced. The stone tablet trembled violently. Cracks started from the base. The next moment, Qin Kang's palm wind hit your back heavily. You were sent flying, spitting liquid from your mouth. Your ribs were injured. Your body crashed into a pile of rubble 10 feet away. But you were smiling, because the cracks on the stone tablet were still expanding. It was already in chaos. Qin Kang suddenly turned his head, looking at the stone tablet. His pupils contracted sharply. The mountain gate's light barrier began to flicker violently. The spiritual energy of the entire Tianlin sect was in chaos. Zhao Qingqian's roar from afar traveled through half the mountain. But you were lying in the rubble, unable to hear clearly. You just stared at the cracked stone tablet above your head, repeatedly thinking of those 7 words. Heavenly tongue has been severed. Who wrote it, and why not let people look up? The system prompt sounded at this moment. Destroyed the mountain gate stone tablet. 85%. Estimated to collapse in 30 breaths. Self-destruct. Warning. Zhao Qingqian will arrive in 12 breaths. You gritted your teeth, forcing yourself to sit up. The injured ribs stabbed into your chest like knives. But you still had to smash this stone tablet. To break it earlier, you raised your hand, forcibly activated a secret technique. A wisp of origin energy fell into your palm. The origin energy mixed with spiritual energy, quickly condensed into a dark red formation talisman. Not for people, it was for the formation eye. Qin Kang saw the formation talisman in your hand. His expression changed drastically. You didn't give him a chance to finish speaking. His right hand slapped the ground. The dark red formation talisman instantly drilled into the base of the stone tablet. It seeped along the already unbalanced formation eye patterns. The formation eye, which was originally chaotic, was like its vital point was being forcefully choked. The spiritual energy completely stopped circulating. The stone tablet shook violently. The cracks no longer crawled upwards slowly, but exploded open all at once. The sound of cracking spread across half the mountain. Qin Kang lunged forward like a madman, pressing his hands tightly onto the stone tablet, pouring his nascent soul power into it frantically, trying to forcibly stabilize the formation eye. But it was too late. The spirit-locking formation had sealed its last breath. It was like someone who could still breathe a couple more times had their mouth covered by you. The protective barrier above the Tianlin sect suddenly flickered violently 3 times. It was like glass. Spiritual light sprinkled down from the sky, like a very bright rain. The mountain gate stone tablet broke in half from the middle. The 3 jong tall giant tablet was split into 2. The upper half crashed down with a roar, shaking the ground violently. The 3 characters Tianlin sect were torn from the center. The character Tien split into 2. The character Lan had a piece broken off. Only a crooked Zong remained, still hanging on the broken tablet. Qin Kang was repelled 3 steps by the backlash, liquid overflowing from his mouth. This was not a superficial injury. Even his nascent soul had suffered a strong impact. The entire Tianlin sect fell silent. Not just the area in front of the mountain gate, but the entire mountain fell silent. All the disciples, all the elders, all looked up at the shattered sect guarding stone tablet, as if they had been stunned by a single blow. The sect guarding stone tablet, the main sect guarding formation. Zhao Qingqian's figure stopped in midair. He was only 2 breaths away from arriving. But the stone tablet didn't wait for him. The system prompt sounded almost simultaneously. Mission complete. Destroy the mountain gate stone tablet. Rewards are being distributed. Ancient immortal trapping formation. Complete formation diagram. A massive amount of information instantly flooded into your divine consciousness. Formation base embedding method. Trapping rules. In an instant, your mind was like a whole galaxy was stuffed into it. You grunted, and the liquid from your nose slid down. But you didn't even close your eyes. The moment the stone tablet shattered, the sky seemed to be violently torn open by something. It was only for a moment, but it was enough for everyone to see clearly. Above the rift was a dense layer of dark golden formation patterns, like a net covering the entire sky, like a cage, inverted over the world. The next moment, the rift closed again. The clouds returned to normal, as if the scene just now had never happened, but everyone present had seen it. In front of the mountain gate, a deathly silence. What was that just now? What was that just now? Someone trembled and spoke. No one answered, because no one knew. You lay in the rubble, looking at the sky that had returned to normal. Your lips slowly curled up. The great formation of absolute severance of heaven and earth. This continent was originally a formation disk. It was the formation cover. Everyone lived within the formation. Cultivating, fighting, ascending, seeking the Tao. All revolved within this cage. And the phrase heaven has been severed. Do not look up was not a warning not to look. It was telling later generations that it was no longer a path. Zhao Qingqian finally landed. He stood before the shattered stone tablet. The spiritual pressure of the nascent soul stage crushed all the surrounding rubble within 30 feet into. He looked at you. You also looked at him. A sect leader at the peak of the nascent soul stage. And you lying on the ground, barely able to stand at the 4th level of chi refining. Your gazes met. Neither moved first. It wasn't that Zhao Qingqian didn't want to deal with you. It was that for the first time he truly couldn't see through you. Breaking through 4 protective formations. Shattering the sect Zhen stone tablet. Triggering celestial phenomena. A mere servant at the 4th level of chi refining could never have accomplished these things. Unless you were not the Zhang Baikan he thought you were at all. Qin Kang suppressed the liquid in his throat, walked to Zhao Qingqian's side, and said in a low voice. He knew there was a problem with the bottom-level formation patterns. Zhao Qingqian's eyes slightly sank. He asked me himself, who carved that set of runes that didn't belong to the Tianlin sect? Zhao Qingqian fell silent. He remained silent for 3 breaths. He made a decision that surprised everyone. Take Zhang Baikan to the guest hall, and guard him well, not the dungeon. The crowd erupted in an uproar. Lu Jinghong's expression instantly changed. He suppressed Tianming's cultivation, and destroyed the protective formation. Zhao Qingqian didn't even look at her. 2 elders from the enforcement hall immediately stepped forward, and lifted you up from the ground. You didn't struggle, because there was no need now. Your spiritual power was depleted, and your origin had also been depleted by a segment. 3 ribs were broken. You couldn't hold on much longer even if you tried. But there was no panic on your face. As the 2 elders lifted you away, they both felt a strange sense of unease. At this moment, a normal person would panic. But you didn't. You were just quiet. So quiet as if everything was still within your calculations. They didn't know. From the moment you were lifted up, the complete diagram of the immortal trapping formation began to deconstruct within your sea of consciousness. What you lacked now was not time, but a place where you could set up the formation. He gave it to you with his own hands. The restriction fell. Silence finally descended upon the surroundings. You lean against the wall and sit down. The complete formation diagram of the immortal trapping formation rotates in the sea of consciousness. Ancient formation patterns unfold one by one. Astonishingly complex. But you stood too high in your past life. Difficult as reaching heaven for others. For you, it just takes some time. You lower your head, looking at the floor tiles at your feet. The guest hall is located in the core area of the heavenly mist sect. It's the earth vein. Your index finger lightly brushes the edge of the floor tile. The first formation pattern silently sinks down. The system flashes lightly. Main quest: the humiliation of breaking off the engagement. Repaid 100-fold progress. 40%. Remaining objective: dismantle Lu Jinghong's cultivation. The earth vein spiritual energy in the current area is abundant, suitable for setting up large formations. The corners of your mouth curl up slightly. You are sending yourselves into my formation. The second formation pattern sinks down. Time passes little by little. Because you know who is truly in a hurry. 4 hours later, you open your eyes. 137 formation pattern nodes have all been embedded into the floor tiles, wall roots, pillar bases, and earth vein connections. They are like nails, firmly nailing the immortal trapping formation into the core area of the heavenly mist sect. Coverage area: 200 jong in radius, including the main hall directly in front. The hall of discussion. You stand up. Your chest still hurts. Your spiritual energy has only recovered less than 20%. The immortal trapping formation consumes earth veins, not your dantian. Footsteps sound outside the door. The chains are removed. The restriction is lifted. 2 golden core elders push the door open and enter. Expressionless. Hall of discussion. The sect is judging you. You follow them out. The sunlight is a bit dazzling. As you pass a collapsed ruin, you glance at it. That's where the formation suppressed yesterday exploded. The rubble hasn't been cleared yet. The air is filled with the smell of burnt spiritual energy. The 2 elders keep staring at your hands, guarding against you setting up formations. You put your hands behind your back. Your expression cooperative. They are guarding too late. You've arrived at the hall of discussion. The hall doors are wide open. 2 rows of disciples stand on either side. In the main hall, all elders of the heavenly mist sect at Golden Core stage and above have arrived. Vice Sect Master Qin Kang sits on the left, his face pale, clearly not having recovered from yesterday's backlash. A chair is placed in the center of the hall. Not for you. Zhao Tianming is sitting there, supported by someone. His entire face is ashen. His eye sockets sunken. His spiritual energy fluctuations a mess. Yesterday you shattered his foundation establishment spiritual core with one palm. He now, like a half-dead person. The hatred in his eyes was almost overflowing. Lu Jinghong stood beside him, still in that white robe. The cold arrogance on her face was clearly not as stable as yesterday. In her eyes when she looked at you, for the first time there was apprehension, but she spoke first. As soon as these 2 words were uttered, the atmosphere in the hall instantly tensed. Zhao Tianming told you to kneel. Today, it's her turn. You stand in the center of the hall. Look around. 7 elders. Dozens of inner disciples. Outside the hall there is another circle of outer disciples watching. At least 300 people. All within the range of the immortal trapping formation. Lu Jinghong's eyes turned cold. Qin Kang spoke first. His voice was still hoarse, as if rubbed by sandpaper. You injured the sect master's son. Destroyed the sect protecting grand formation. Smashed the sect gen stone tablet. 3 crimes punished together. According to sect rules you should be executed. But the sect master, considering your young age, gives you a chance. Hand over the origin of your formation inheritance. You can be exempted from severe punishment. It sounds very magnanimous. It's like leaving you a way to live. But you lowered your head and smiled. World, it's because you believed too many of these words that in the end you were severely defeated by the 7 people you raised yourself. Severely defeated. Deputy Sect Master Qin. His voice was calm. As soon as these words were spoken, many people in the hall stopped breathing for a moment. A handyman disciple actually dared to call the sect master by name. Qin Kang's eyes sank. The sect master is in seclusion, repairing the sect protecting grand formation. Waiting for this sentence. The nascent soul stage is not present. The immortal trapping formation locks those below the nascent soul stage. Then we won't wait for him. You said softly. Your right foot on the floor tile. Tapped lightly. No one saw any spiritual energy fluctuations. It wasn't set up now. It was set up 4 hours ago. It was already buried. Just push down the first bone card. The ground of the main hall did not change immediately, but deep in the earth's veins. 137 formation pattern nodes lit up simultaneously. Qin Kang's face suddenly changed. He was the first to stand up. The nascent soul in his body vibrated violently, as if it was grabbed by something. At his feet, golden formation patterns seeped out from the floor tiles, walls, and the depths of the dome like a tide. Not 1 or 2, it was dense, covering the sky and the earth. The entire main hall. In a blink of an eye it was woven into a golden cage, locking in all directions. Everyone in the hall changed their expressions almost simultaneously. The Golden Core elders were the first to sense something was wrong. The spiritual energy in their bodies felt instantly frozen. Their circulation speed dropped to almost a standstill. Those inner disciples were even worse off. They couldn't even stand. They all collapsed with thuds. Qin Kang roared. He forcibly activated his nascent soul power. He blasted it towards the golden light screen. The light screen cracked in a few places, but it only flickered, and then repaired itself as good as new. Immortal trapping formation. You stand within the formation, as calm as if watching a school of fish swim into a net. An ancient immortal ceiling level formation. Below the soul transformation stage. No one can get out. This one sentence crushed the entire assembly hall. Over 300 people, 7 golden core elders, 1 nascent soul vice sect master, all trapped in your chi refining level 4 formation. Qin Kang's expression changed repeatedly. Finally the most inappropriate emotion appeared on his face. You look at the chair in the center of the hall. Zhao Tianming was trembling. He was already on the verge of breaking through. And then the pressure of the immortal trapping formation was added. He was almost curled into a ball. His voice became shrill. My father is in the soul transformation stage. You will not have a good end. You walk up to him. You make me kneel and lick shoes. You extend your right hand and place it on his dantian. But the immortal trapping formation was locking him down. He couldn't even lift his arm. You shook your spiritual energy in your palm, directly shattering the remaining spiritual energy foundation in his dantian. Not half crippled, completely crippled, Zhao Tianming let out a piercing cry of pain. Completely reduced to zero. He wasn't even a normal chi refining cultivator. He was just an ordinary person. You stand up, as if you touched something dirty. Then you turn, and walk towards Lu Jinghong. She was still standing, relying on her peak foundation establishment foundation. She was holding on without kneeling. But her legs were trembling. Her face was also pale. The emotions in her eyes were a mess. There was also a trace of regret that she herself didn't want to admit. Zhang Baikan, she forced out her voice. Come at me. Why did you suppress Tianming? Do you still remember? You interrupt her, and walk up to her. Very close. So close that she could clearly see the coldness in your eyes. A indifference colder than hate. The day you broke off the engagement. You threw the token on the ground. And crushed it. Her pupils contracted slightly. Zhang Baikan, the handyman of Tianlin sect, is not worthy of any connection with you, Lu Jinghong. The way you looked down at me that day was no different from looking at dust on the roadside. Lu Jinghong's lips moved, but she couldn't say a word. But couldn't say anything at all. You raise your hand. It's my turn to look down at you. Covering her dantian, Lu Jinghong finally completely lost her composure. You can't suppress me. I am the chief of the Tianlin sect. Your tone is very calm. You are the chief of the Tianlin sect. Foundation establishment peak. Grew up being doted on since childhood. Your cultivation is very valuable. You directly pour your spiritual energy in. But in my eyes, the palm of my hand trembled. The spiritual energy in her dantian was scattered on the spot. Lu Jinghong suddenly arched her body. A large mouthful of liquid overflowed from her mouth. The ice element spiritual energy in her body completely went out of control. Like a flood with its gates opened, fiercely colliding with her meridians. Her cultivation began to drop. Foundation establishment peak. Foundation establishment middle stage. Her knees went soft. She knelt on the ground with a thud. Not suppressed by the formation. Her legs went soft on their own. 17 years of hard cultivation. All cleared in one go. She lay on the cold floor tiles. Trembling all over. Unable to even lift her head. Only the sound of shattering remained in her throat. Why did it come to this? Why you of all people? Why back then? She didn't even glance at you. But these questions are meaningless now. You withdraw your hand. Without even a second glance at her. The system panel pops open at the same time. Main quest: the humiliation of breaking the engagement. Repaid 100-fold completed. Rewards being distributed. Experience points plus 5000. Formation cultivation breakthrough. Formation master middle stage. Additional reward. Tianlin sect treasury. Hidden compartment location map. You glance at the hidden compartment map. Your eyebrows slightly raise. Since you've come this far, might as well do a little house cleaning. Just as you were about to turn, the entire ground suddenly shook. Not the formation. It's spiritual pressure from a higher level. Even heavier than before. Zhao Qingqin, when his spiritual pressure pressed over through the assembly hall, the hall ceiling directly cracked into 3 large gaps. The golden barrier of the immortal trapping formation vibrated violently. The formation patterns flashed wildly, as if it would be crushed in the next moment. But it still held. The spiritual pressure of the great perfection of the nascent soul stage was forcefully blocked outside by the immortal trapping formation. Over 300 people in the hall simultaneously overflowed with liquid from the shock. Lu Jinghong lay on the ground, her clothes completely soaked with stains. Zhao Tianming cowered by the leg of the chair, like a worm that had stopped breathing. Even Qin Kang was forced to land on one knee by the pressure. But you are still standing. Because the formation was set up by you. The immortal trapping formation does not suppress you. Zhao Qingqin stood outside the hall door. Through a golden barrier. He didn't come in. He can't come in. The nascent soul stage can break the immortal trapping formation. But it's definitely not a one-punch job. He spoke word by word. Zhang Baikan, you crippled my son, destroyed my sect's protective formation, and shattered my sect's stone tablet. Now tell me, how do you intend to resolve this? You casually wiped away the liquid from the corner of your mouth. Your expression was calm. I'll ask you a question first. You are not qualified. The runes at the bottom of the sect's protective formation. You interrupted him. Zhao Qingqin's voice came to an abrupt halt. Everyone else in the hall didn't understand. But he understood. And precisely because he understood, he couldn't respond immediately. You can certainly deal with me. But before I leave, I will transmit the secret of those runes to everyone here, its true purpose. Zhao Qingqin fell silent. His spiritual pressure was still pressing down on the immortal trapping formation. The cracks were still expanding. Give him another 50 breaths, and he can truly blast open this formation. But 50 breaths is enough for you to fill the ears of everyone here. What do you want? After a moment, he finally spoke. A sect leader in the nascent soul stage, negotiating with you who is at the 4th level of chi refining, is an insult in itself. But he had to negotiate. You extended 2 fingers. 2 things. Zhao Qingqin stared at you. Let me go. The hall was eerily quiet. Qin Kang suddenly looked up. Zhao Qingqin said coldly, directly suppressing him. A token directly passed through the light screen of the immortal trapping formation and landed at your feet. You have 1 incense stick's worth of time. When the time is up, I will dismantle this formation. You haven't even left the Tianlin sect yet. He didn't finish his sentence. Nor did he need to. You picked up the token, and then raised your hand lightly drawing on the light screen of the immortal trapping formation. A gap split open, just enough for you to pass through alone. You stepped out of the hall of discussion. Immediately Zhao Tianming's heart-wrenching roar came from behind you. Why did you let him go? Zhao Qingqin didn't answer. He didn't let him go. When the immortal trapping formation runs out of spiritual power, and you step out of this layer of protection, he will personally crush you completely. As for the promise just now, a nascent soul stage cultivator towards an ant never keeps their word. You head towards the treasury. The Tianlin sect treasury is located in the western side of the main peak's mountain belly. 3 restrictions guard the entrance. The treasury token opens it directly. It's a formation lock. You only glanced at it. Unpack in 3 breaths. It's a bloodline lock. Only recognizes the direct bloodline of the Zhao family. But you're not panicking at all. The system just gave you not just a map of the treasure vault's location, but also a map of the secret compartment. The real good stuff isn't in the main entrance. Walk to the left wall of the treasure vault. Raise your hand and press the 7th brick. The brick's surface sinks slightly. A narrow passage is revealed. The secret passage of past sect leaders. Also the most greedy path. Because the main entrance is for the sect to see. It's for yourself to see. After you enter, the end is a small stone chamber. The 4 walls are inlaid with jade grids. Spirit stone cores are packed full. You don't even bother to pick. Just sweep them up with a raise of your hand. The storage bag of Qin King the nascent soul Fuzong Zhu is large enough, perfect for storing them. The rows on the wall are empty. The last grid, you see something. A teleportation array disc, made of jade marrow material. The spatial spiritual patterns are very complex. It's definitely a rare item on the Kanglin continent. You pick it up. The coordinates are clearly marked. The edge of the monster forest. Your eyes move. Take it directly. You see another bronze mirror standing in the corner of the stone chamber. The mirror is covered in dust, but behind the mirror surface is a very faint spiritual pattern. The frequency of the spiritual pattern's fluctuation is the same as heavenly connection severed on the stone tablet. It's Mu Wuchen again. Not enough time. You didn't take the bronze mirror. Just scanned it with your divine sense. First record the structure in your mind. Taking it would be too conspicuous. If Zhao Qingqin discovers the bronze mirror is gone, he'll chase you like crazy. Remembering it is enough. You turn and leave the secret compartment stone chamber, and then casually sweep up the spirit stones pills and cultivation technique jade slips in the main hall. The incense is almost gone. You walk out of the treasure vault, standing at the entrance of the mountain cave. The cold wind blows in. You take out the teleportation array disc from your storage bag. Pour all your remaining spiritual power into it. Silver spiritual patterns instantly spread out at your feet. At the same time, a muffled sound suddenly comes from the direction of the Yishi Dian. Zhao Qingqin's figure shoots up into the sky. The spiritual pressure of the God Transformation Realm covers half of the main peak. Directly locks onto you. You look up, across half the mountain. You make eye contact with him. Then you take out a jade slip from your storage bag. Casually throw it towards him. Zhao Qingqin raises his hand and catches it. His divine sense scans it. His pupils shrink sharply. It's the list of the secret compartment you casually copied earlier. His private stash hidden in the secret compartment is all recorded in it. There's also a line of text. Thank you for the meal. I didn't take the bronze mirror. But you'd better look at the spiritual patterns on its back. You are living in someone else's formation, and you don't even know it. Zhao Qingqin looked up sharply. But at this moment, the teleportation array's light pillar had completely swallowed you. The next moment, you disappeared. Only the entrance of the mountain cave remained, with traces of space being scorched. Zhao Qingqin crushed the jade slip. His fingers slowly tightened, but there was no rage on his face. He just stared at the spot where you disappeared, silent for a long time. Then, he raised his hand, and on your sect's file, personally added a character. This was the most ruthless sect expulsion mark of the Tianlin sect. It wasn't a normal expulsion. It was a mark of shame. Anyone expelled from the sect, their spiritual mark would automatically appear on their face. It couldn't be washed off, nor could it be hidden. Wherever you went, it was like being forced to look at your shame. It was more malicious than a kill order, because it didn't rush you to exit. It wanted you to live. To live and be seen. 3 hours later, at the edge of the demon beast forest, you fell out of the teleportation light pillar. Kneeling on the ground, your chest felt heavy, and the forced formation the shattered bay the trapped immortals the treasure hunt the teleportation had almost drained this body of yours. As soon as your fingertip touched it, you felt a burning sensation, as if something had been branded into your flesh and skin. Walking to the stream, you lowered your head to look at your reflection in the water. On your right cheek, a golden character Zu was clearly visible. You stared at that face for 2 breaths, then stood up straight, gently brushing the dirt off your knees. Your voice was very soft. From the forest behind you came a burst of messy footsteps and laughter. That kid has a character on his face. A disciple abandoned by the Tianlin sect. People like this usually have some fat to skim. Take him down and split the money. They were dressed as mercenaries. The leader was a burly man with a beard. Early stage of foundation establishment. The rest were late stage of chi refining. They surrounded you, their eyes on you, no different from looking at a lone prey. More accurately, like looking at someone already heavily injured and in a sorry state. The system prompt immediately sounded. Detected host suffering group humiliation. Counterattack mercenary group. Eliminate all. Experience points plus 3000. Host's current level is 9. Only 3000 experience points away from the first heavenly tribulation. You glanced at the panel. For others it was a disaster. For you, it was an opportunity. It's an opportunity. You look up, looking at the 7 mercenaries who were laughing heartily. Suddenly smiled too. The wind in the riverbed was cold, cornering you in the narrowest part of Wuming Ravine. The leader with a full beard, chewing on a dry grass stalk, sizing you up, especially on the word exiled on your face, lingered for a couple more glances. He spat out the grass. A disciple of the Tianlin sect. No wonder you've ended up like this. The mercenaries behind him immediately burst into laughter. A skinny monkey-faced man leaned closer, deliberately tilting his head to stare at your right cheek. That brand is quite harsh. Even if you manage to get out alive, the first thing people see when they look at you will only be that you're someone kicked out of the sect. He's like this now. He wouldn't even be picked up if thrown on the roadside. The laughter was piercing, but you didn't look at them. You were observing the terrain. Wuming Ravine is a dry riverbed. The cliff walls on both sides are steep, covered in dense cracks. There are trace amounts of lightning attribute spirit stones in the rock layers. Enough for you. The bearded man reached out. His smile vanished. His eyes immediately turned fierce. I'll give you a quick end. If I make a move, you'll suffer. Drew his waist knife. You lowered your head, glanced at the storage bag at your waist. It's half the treasure vault of the Tianlin sect. Are you sure you want to rob me? The bearded man was stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter. I've been a mercenary for 12 years. I've seen more battles than you've ever seen. You a useless person kicked out of the sect. Dare to ask me if I am sure. Then I am sure. You took a step back. Your foot landed on a grayish-white stone. That's a vein intersection point. Your spiritual energy is almost depleted. A large formation like the Immortal trapping array. The spirit locking array can be used, but with 60% completion. It can control at most 1 foundation establishment cultivator. It can't control 7. It's not worth it to force it. The most suitable for you is still to borrow power. You lightly stomped your foot. A subtle spiritual wean silently drilled into the underground mineral veins from under your foot. Just a fuse. Lightning spirit ore is most afraid of resonance. As long as the frequency of the spiritual wean is accurate enough, the faint lightning energy in the ore veins will be instantly stimulated. The bearded man didn't notice at all. In his eyes, you were just taking half a step back before dying. Trying to buy time. 2 late-stage chi refining mercenaries immediately flanked from the sides. You started to retreat. With every step back, another spiritual wean appeared under your feet. You retreated all the way to the narrowest part of the riverbed. The distance between the cliff walls was less than 4 jong. As the 7 people chased in, immediately squeezed into 2 rows front and back by the terrain, almost touching each other. You stopped. The bearded man approached with his saber raised, a smile on his face. Suddenly asked, have you ever thought about why this place is called Wujin? The bearded man frowned. What do you mean? Fingers pressed on the ground. The last spiritual pattern sank into the ore vein. 7 spiritual patterns, instantly connected head to tail in a line. A muffled sound came from underfoot first, like a bone breaking. The rock walls on both sides. Countless fine lightning bolts exploded from the cracks in the rock, like a group of startled snakes, crawling frantically along the stone walls. The entire bird python ravine, instantly illuminated by lightning glowing. The first to be hit was the thin monkey-faced man. Lightning split out from the crack at his feet, instantly pierced his protective spiritual energy, and sent him jerking backward. The mercenary armor on his body happened to conduct electricity. The lightning jumped along the armor to the side. Less than 3 breaths. 5 late-stage chi refining mercenaries all fell down. Some were still twitching on the ground. Some were already silent. Only the bearded man and another early-stage foundation establishment cultivator remained, still standing with difficulty. But after they endured the first wave of lightning strikes, their limbs were clearly numb. And for you, half a beat of hesitation was enough to decide the outcome. You lunged forward fiercely, pulled a short saber from the thin monkey-faced man, and slashed directly from bottom to top. The blade grazed the neck of the other foundation establishment mercenary. The man clutched his neck, and retreated 2 steps. His breath instantly became disordered. The bearded man roared with rage and swung his saber down at your head. You didn't dodge, not because you didn't want to, but because this body now no longer had the strength. You raised your saber to block. The short saber was instantly knocked away. You were pushed back 3 steps by this blow. Your back hit the rock wall heavily. The liquid in your mouth was directly choked out. The bearded man smiled and raised his saber, preparing to deliver the second blow. Your left hand pressed against a crack in the rock wall behind you. There was still a trace of lightning remaining. You forcefully drew it out. The lightning power flowed along your left arm into your palm. Intense pain exploded instantly. 3 meridians burst open on the spot, but you didn't even frown. You pushed your palm forward. The last wisp of lightning hit the bearded man's chest directly. His protective spiritual energy had already been depleted by the first lightning strike. He couldn't withstand this blow. A scorched mark was left on his chest on the spot. The bearded man looked down at his chest, then looked up at you. His mouth opened and closed. He couldn't say a word, and fell straight down. In the riverbed, it was finally quiet. 7 figures lying on the ground. You slide down the rock face leaning against it. Your left arm is completely numb. Your vision is also darkening a bit, but the system prompt came right on time. Mission complete. Counter mercenary group. Experience plus